there are important reasons for hope coming out of developments over the weekend for Australians looking for a pathway home in terms of COVID. Significantly, we've had a record 2 weeks with almost 4 million vaccinations in that period of time. And that's providing hope and protection, not just for individual Australians, but for every Australian. This week, we are expected to pass the 80% first dose rate, which is a critical milestone. Very importantly, we have had 15,000 doses or treatments of Cetrovomab, the breakthrough new medicine, arrive in Australia over the course of recent days. That will be available to patients who are at risk of their COVID becoming serious, and it is already saving lives and protecting lives. And then I think for Australians who are looking to travel abroad, to visit loved ones, to reunite with friends or family, the news that as of today, the UK will recognise Australia's AstraZeneca vaccine, along with now the United States, and Canada and Italy and France and Germany and Singapore and many other countries, I think is great news for Australians and great news for Australia. So in terms of the vaccine rollout, yesterday there were 138,000 vaccines delivered around Australia. Over the weekend, over 350,000 vaccines. That now takes us to over 27.75 million vaccinations across the country. For the last week, 1.96 million vaccinations, which means over the last 2 weeks, 3.97 million vaccinations, or almost 4 million Australians who have stepped forward to be vaccinated for either their first or their second dose. Some critical milestones in that. We're now at 90% first dose for our over 50s. We're at over 95% first dose for our over 70s. That's an extraordinary national achievement. Over 95% of first doses for our over 70s. And we're now at an almost unimaginable 99.4% amongst aged care workers. All of these things are providing protection for those who are most vulnerable. This is a disease that is not limited by age, but it is more likely to have an impact the older someone is. Our first dose rate is now 79.6%, which is 16.4 million. It's 56.9% as a second dose. And there are less than 85,000 Australians who need to come forward to achieve the 80% mark. In terms of milestones, I've mentioned those, but another important one is that we have 500,000 young people aged 12 to 15 who have already stepped forward. To be precise, 528,000 12 to 15-year-old Australians in 3 weeks have had a first vaccination. So to all the young Australians who've stepped forward, including my young guy last week, thank you very much. I really appreciate what you're doing. The full 4 million doses from the UK have arrived, with final distribution having been on the weekend. That's an important step. It guarantees that security of supply. And as we heard from the Victorian Deputy Premier, there are numerous vaccination opportunities in Victoria right now, as one example, in one state. And then in terms of treatments, I mentioned Cetrovomab briefly before. Australia has increased its order of Cetrophomab from 7,700 to 31,000 doses. And we have already secured new supplies in country. So we've now had 15,000 extra courses of Cetrovomab, which is a monoclonal antibody. In other words, it helps activate the body and its immune system to fight against COVID. It doesn't prevent it, but it reduces the impacts. And it won't do it in every case, but in many cases it will mean the difference between hospitalisation or no hospitalisation, ICU or no ICU, and in some cases it will prevent the loss of life. So it's a critical breakthrough medicine. So all of those are reasons for real hope. It's a challenging, ongoing task for Australians everywhere, but Australians are stepping up, and I want to thank them and honour them, and in particular continue to urge people to come forward in record numbers to be vaccinated.